Are you losing sleep over having a difficult discussion? Like you literally are sick to your stomach because you know that you have to face some conflict and get it resolved. It is so frustrating. I'm Laura Brzee. I am an executive speech coach. I specialize in helping you prepare before you enter any difficult communication situation. Today we're going to be talking about some tips and strategies that will help you get through those difficult discussions that you so want to avoid. Let's break that down. You could be in a very high value relationship with somebody, like a friend or a boss or a coworker or a family member, an extended family member. It could be a very highly valuable relationship that you want to salvage. Right? So your body is saying, look, this relationship means a lot to me. And I'm losing sleep over it for the fact that I'm seriously afraid of losing this relationship. Okay? That is very important to pay attention to, because the other side of it is, which I find to be happening more in my particular work, is that people admit to themselves eventually that they're trying to salvage a relationship that is not valuable to them. They're putting up with something ongoing that is not important to them. But through some sort of an ego trip, or I shoulda, coulda, woulda done this better, I feel like I need to salvage it so I can be liked, or because, I just don't want to go along in life and have a failed relationship. It's very important to seriously think about the value of the relationship. Because again, that's part of the difficulty of what you're experiencing inside that's making you lose sleep. I'm losing sleep because I so value this relationship that I'm so terrified to lose it. Or I am so losing sleep because I feel like I should do this, but I know that I don't want to do it. I don't want to have this relationship, but I feel like I need to. Your body knows. All right, so you have figured out that you value the relationship and you're ready to make the preparation to go and address the conflict. What do you do now? Step number 2 is you have to determine how to lessen the time between when the conflict happened and when you're going to address it. Okay? And if you're watching this video, you've probably gone weeks, maybe months, potentially even years about how to address it. Okay? And that's a problem, because the longer the time period that happens between whenever it started and whenever you're trying to resolve it, a lot comes into play during that time. Hurt feelings, you kind of lose exact memory of the situation for what it was. Like if you were to address it on the spot, which is ultimately what I recommend, even though it's tough, I want you to become a master of addressing conflict on the spot or within a very short amount of time between when it happens and whenever you address it. That's kind of like fast forward to the end of this video. You could stop watching it right now and you got the answer. Deal with it as it happens. And I don't care if the conflict results even worse because you tried to address it. Some people are really mad at the fact that you have the skills to address something on the spot, whereas, they have to have time to think about it. Whatever. The issue is that you won't be losing sleep over it if you go ahead and address it. All right. But back to the whole point is, if this has gone on for months and for years, as so happens with, relationships that probably you didn't value that much to begin with because you didn't really know how to address it. And you know that it's not going to be resolved because you're going to go back in a loop. Okay. You know all this stuff. If you're watching this video, you already know why it's difficult, right? But say you want to go try again, right? You want to go try again and do it. Well, that is The whole point here is how can you stop losing sleep over a situation that is unresolved? Okay? That's going to be a personal choice, of course. Personal choice meaning it's going to be helpful for you to think about, first of all, how would you even go ahead and address it to begin with? That could be multiple layers. It could be, swallowing your pride and trying again. It could be sending a text message and say, hey, it's been a while. Let's, try and revisit this. It could be having an intervention. You could get a third party involved, but the issue is that during that time span between when it happened and now, especially if it's been an extremely long time, you might not even know each other at that point in time. Okay? The memories, the feelings, the frustration, all of that, literally to your body, it says, this is actually dangerous for me to go into this, right? I'm going to get my head chewed off, or it's never going to go the way that I really expected it. Honestly, managing your expectations for a situation that's prolonged is probably going to be the best way for you to resolve that internal angst. Okay, so one, it's going to take courage to address it, and it's going to take two, perspective to know that you are really just trying, but it's kind of like a swing and a miss. Okay, you're going to hope that it becomes resolved. Unfortunately, it's really out of your hands. But who are you approaching this conflict for? For the relationship at that point, or for the relationship with yourself? Because there's always two relationships in conflict. It's the conflict between the person and you, and it's also the conflict between you and you. Okay, so manage your expectations. Go for it. Try and attempt it. If you try and want to resolve it, do it. You probably know that it may or may not work out. Manage your expectations going into it. Okay? But again, I will always say this over and over and over again. This is to resolve the internal angst that you are feeling because you know that that conflict is out there and it has not been resolved. So work on you. So last but not least, addressing conflict in the moment. That's where we need to be. Okay? You will gain a lot of sleep by saying to yourself in the middle of the night, I did the best I could. I addressed it. I did my part. We'll see where it goes. But I'm not going to sit here and stress about this, but for what I didn't do. Okay, it takes a master of courage and self-regulation in order to address conflict in the moment. Somebody told me recently they were out at dinner. Somebody at the dinner table said some kind of snide, rude remark. It was kind of like one of those like below the belt type of comments where you feel like, man, where did that come from? Right? That's not fair. But of course they didn't want to address it because they didn't want to have, create awkwardness among the table or something like that. Well, there is a tactic here. Eye contact is always the first one. Okay? Body language. Use your body language. Use your eye contact. Reframe your positioning to that person that said it and look at them. I'm not saying like you need to stare them down with the evil eye, but it doesn't hurt because they know that something was off. They threw something at you verbally, and in return, you're going to address it non-verbally. Okay? That could be number one. Address it in a nonverbal way to show that your mannerisms did not like what they did. Number two, you could say something in front of the table politely to say, you know, that was an interesting thing that you said. And you could just leave it at that. But again, you're addressing it. You're still calling them out on it. Believe me, everybody at the table probably knew that something was awkward or not. But you could just say something to address it, like, I heard you. Okay? You could physically actually move your body and go and address it, and maybe even invite the person to get up for a moment and go and address the topic, right? You don't have to have a knockdown fight about it, but again, acknowledgement is the key. Awareness and acknowledgement. Right, so there's multiple steps that you can really do in this situation, from nonverbal to actual verbal interaction to resolve it. But the point is that you addressed it. You addressed it in the moment so that, like I spoke about earlier, you leave the situation, you have unresolved conflict, and now you have to go and address it later outside of the context of the situation that it happened. Right? You were activated in the moment by something that they said or did, or they were activated by something you said or did, and now they're addressing it. But it doesn't have to necessarily be conflict. I'm going to leave it at that because this video is about productivity, being productive in your conflict resolution. Okay? If you really value the relationship and you want to shorten the span of time between when the conflict happened and when you're going to resolve it, what do you need to do? You need to address it in the moment. And you need to do that with courage and self-regulation. There's so much more I can discuss about this video. If there's another topic within difficult conversations, conversational interactions that lead to conflict, anything like that, conflict resolution, I would be happy to share. Of course, like and subscribe and put comments in the comment section. Any other topics that are worthwhile about preparation before you go execute, I would be happy to create another video. All right. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.